you thought it might?
Yes, it did. This person wanted me to help him curate it, so I put all this contact paper all over the place.
Yeah, I know. It was good, and your work is great, and we're going to show it. We're going to talk some about Ray and that kind of stuff. I'm really glad you could come in, and welcome very much to our conversation. A pleasure to welcome to the program Al Duffy, and Al Duffy's got himself billed as an artist and an endangered revolutionary, which is a kind of interesting term to reply to oneself, but he's an artist, as you'll be able to see from this program. And we ran into him again recently. We've had our paths across in the past and so forth, but we've come to know each other much better. And he was a friend of a great friend of mine, Ray Bremser. He's familiar with most of the people coming out of the beatnik movement in terms of poetry and art. And we're going to be talking about that, showing a couple of clips. And Al, welcome really very much to conversation. Great pleasure.
Thanks, Harold.
My good pleasure. We were with you at a show at St. Mark's Church down on 2nd Avenue and 10th Street, where they had a great turnout for an art show, and your work was featured there. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about some going back in the past, our mutual friends, Mikhail Horowitz and some of these other people. But maybe you could begin even before that, if you could. And then we do have a roll-in from the show, which is a little rough, but we're going to do that, and we have some pictures. But maybe you could share, if you would, please, your own background, where you were born and raised, and then we'll wade into a conversation about some of the people we've known and the human condition and so forth. But where were you born and raised and educated?
Yeah, I tried to do it poetically.
Okay, good.
I was raised in Williamsburg Hospital in Brooklyn, where I was born in Williamsburg and raised in the Mohawk Valley of central New York.
You were born in Williamsburg
Hospital in
New York.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. That's a real happening place now.
Yeah, now, yes.
That's where all the scenes seem to be, I'm told.
Yes.
Yeah.
I planted the seed there. Yeah.
I see,
Yes.
okay, it could be.
And then I was raised in the Mohawk Valley in upstate New York, driving a Virgin White 69 Austin Healey
Boy.
through the Sin City of Utica.
Oh, Utica.
Yes.
Right, I know that's where you were with Ray.
That's where I met Ray.
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, that's where you met him, way back when?
In 1981, yes.
81, I see, okay.
He had just come back from a Jack Kerouac conference in Boulder, Colorado at Allen Ginsberg's Naropa.
The Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetry?
That's correct.
With the Trungpa Rinpoche.
Right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And he had gone down there with Andy Clausen, Elliot Katz, and Don Schott. And on the road, he had written a 20-page manuscript called Born Again.
I see, yeah.
And he won, I don't know, $400 or $500 on originality or spontaneous combustion for doing this within a 38-hour period.
Yeah, Ray Bremser we're talking about. He was one of the great beat poets. Unfortunately, he passed about 1989, you told me, yeah.
98.
98, sorry, 98, yeah, right, yeah.
November 3rd.
That's right. It seemed to me when you thought 89, that was too early, yeah, because
I get my numbers mixed up.
I do too. It's a problem.
Time goes by so quick. And
doesn't it, though? Yeah, and it seems to pick up as you get older.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so you were raised in Mohawk. You went to school and everything there? Were you into poetry and the arts and that kind of thing?
Well, I did high school, and then I did textiles and printmaking at a local art school, and then later on in '96, I applied at Pratt, and they told me that I was too disciplined and
Too disciplined?
Too disciplined. Yeah, and I already had a color theory, and they said that I would be a difficult student, and they denied me entry.
You were too disciplined to be able to fit into their discipline.
So I took it as a compliment.
Yes, I see. Yeah, right. That was really the reason they gave, right? And there was a Pratt here in New York?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, in Brooklyn, yeah.
And they wouldn't take you because you were too
already learned.
Too already learned to do what you were doing and so forth. Yeah, that's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, my only lesson in art was, besides the printmaking, was when I was 7 years old, an artist by the name of Ralph Murray, who does landscapes and people's homes and barns. He's famous for barns in upstate New York. He taught me perspective. And this is why I'm still today drawn to architecture, drawings, and doing aerial perspectives.
Yeah, I had a friend here at Leisure. He used to use a perspective, a shortened perspective by doing a painting of somebody like at a window, and the window was a plane in perspective, and it was painted in perspective in the back and then sculpted out. It was a mixture of painting and sculpture. It was really interesting. It was very figurative and so forth. Yeah, you do a lot of line drawings and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it very meditative. And even my painting is more line drawing too. But I use a brush instead of a pencil.
Yeah, it's beautiful work, and we're going to show some of that. But we're talking now about your life, and you met Ray, and we had a mutual acquaintance. I had a friend. We had a mutual friendship with Ray, and he was a great, good poet. And I know Andy and Dan Schott and all those people that beat generation, as it were. And it was like Allen Ginsberg and William Burroughs were around. And I think we're going to show, if we get into it here, some pictures of Ray and so forth and that kind of stuff off the computer that we have. But I'm just thinking, I met Ray way back in, it would have been in about 1970 or so at New Paltz. I guess you spent some time at New Paltz?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Yeah. Ray was there, and he was something else, man. He was really good. And we were doing, if I may, we were doing public access there in the town of New Paltz, I think before there was public access, almost.
Yeah, I heard about these pirate TV radio shows.
Well, it was that sort of thing we were starting, because the cable was just coming, and they had it laid down to a couple thousand subscribers in New Paltz, and they just, Bob Schuler, who was a great artistic fellow there in that area, and Paul Ryan, who studied with Marshall McLuhan, was there and so forth, and other artists there locally. Mick Hale Horowitz, who was then known as Michael Horowitz.
Great performer.
Perhaps the greatest performing artist and poet there is in the country. Used to team up with Frank Tricolo in a group called Null and Void.
Null and Void, right.
They were absolutely spot on, riotously funny, and au courant and all that sort of thing. It was a great group of artists there, and then they, I was a professor into Marshall McLuhan and Bucky Fuller and stuff, and they had a little building that housed the head end. It was just small, half the quarter the size of this studio, and they had the equipment in there. And Bob Schuler got the fellow who was they call it head end, and Bogart was his name, to set up a little camera, just a simple camera that had been cast off from somewhere. And they pointed it out in the meadow. It was showing some rabbits and things. They said, well, if you want to go up there, maybe you could start putting programming on. And we went up there, and we started programming up there. And one of the very first people who ever appeared on the New Paltz Community public access facility was Ray Bremsen. And he used to have great fun with me. Great sport at my expense, because I was all kinds of worried about, you don't want to offend the community.
Yes, right.
And he would just use words like, and he would be playing with me that he's going to say something untoward. But
a
he
great
was just,
wordsmith, yes.
Oh, he was great.
The best.
And he was really good. He had that Blues for Bonnie.
Blues for Bonnie, yeah.
He told me, I don't know, maybe, had he ever talked to you much about the Blues for Bonnie? It was a great poem that he did in prison.
Yes. Well,
and he was probably playing with me, right? But he said,
I think
I had a nubbin of a pencil, and I was writing it with a little
toilet
shaft
paper,
of
on toilet paper.
Toilet paper, and he was doing it with a little, like something out of The Man in the Iron Mask or something. But he wrote this great poem. Some people think the greatest beat poem ever written, Blues for Bonnie, for his wife. Yeah.
Yes. When the institutionalized system learns that we have a talent, they'd like to take away our paper or pencils or whatever, and make it difficult for us to operate our craft.
Yeah, and he had to write it that way. He was not exaggerating. He would exaggerate in order to make a funny point. And he had a great biting sense of humor. He was just absolutely wonderful, you know. And that was about 1970 or so. He used to stay in my house, and I'd go to Washington and do tapes. But so he was in on the early stages, and we had people from the underground film come up all the way from New York and put on films. We had Pull My Daisy, the Kerouac thing, and underground films. Great stuff going out of this little building. There was no heat or anything like that. Early on, it was 70, 71.
Yeah, a lot of soul came out of New Paltz, but that was before my time. Yeah.
Oh, right. And you ran into him afterwards.
Yeah, 81, and then I met you in 82, and Ginsberg and Horowitz and Mark Arnold Moodnick.
Yes.
At the Ice Castle.
Yeah, that's his real name, Moodnick.
Yeah, Moodnick, yes.
Yeah.
The full moon moods.
Did you happen to know Raul Vazina by any chance? He was grand. I'll have to show you. He was a cartoonist. He was part of the gang. Alan Navy was on there, and he had a banjo. He could play 12-string guitar like an angel if he ever got the damn thing tuned. But he would play it. And he was so good and everything.
I
He had a
believe-
program called Goat in the Alley that they put on up there. And he would play it, take him forever to get to it, and it was just gorgeous. Yeah.
Well, I believe I met him the last time me and Ray were in New Paltz at the same time was in 1988, and we had come there on a surprise visit, and we had walked down to
Down from Utica.
Down from Utica.
Yeah.
We had taken a bus trip.
Well, you get this out of here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had taken a bus trip, and we had walked down to the library, and once we got to the library, we went to a bench, and there sat a canister of 8 grams of individual wrapped hashish. And so the gods were looking out for us that weekend. And
Right at the bus station.
and we took all that to Mark Moonnick's, and we had a party for the next 3 days, where a whole mess of musicians showed up, and it was quite the time.
Yeah, I can remember back those good old days, and maybe we could start thinking about bringing. We got some pictures and stuff. We got to show them, right? But let's just go for a minute. I can remember we used to go to Washington. This in the 70s.
Please tell the
early
story. Yeah.
No, there's all kinds
yeah,
of stories. We did, but we would go and do like senators and whatnot because I have a view of the world and want to change it and talk. And we would drive down there, and I remember one night we wanted to dance, and we were in our nation's capital, and there was no place. There was a place. There was a rumor there was some live music out in Maryland somewhere. If you drove out to the suburbs, there would be a piece of live music you get in our nation's capital. The next night we drove back to New Paltz, and they had that one little street. And they had 7 live bands in that one little street, all the way from funk to, near classical and everything going. There was a lot of art and music and everything coming out of there, linked into Berkeley and that sort of thing. It was a real center of activity, yeah.
What was the name of that bar?
With the bar in New York? There were 7 or 8 bars.
Okay.
There was different, the Sanctuary and the Asylum and the bars and everything, and they had great talent. The music would manifest, and it was really great. It was the heyday of what was called the 60s. But Ray, you knew Ray, and maybe we've got some pictures that we've taken down. We talked to Mikhail Horowitz, again, who is perhaps the leading performing artist, poet, comedian, as it were, in the world today, in my humble opinion. But he used to sleep in our basement when he was about 16 or 17 years old, and now he's become legendary in a lot of fields and that. But Ray Bremson, we have some pictures. Here we go. We got a picture there of Ray. Maybe you could talk to these, right? This is the famous beat poet
this photograph was taken up at Allen Ginsberg's Committee on Poetry, which is up on East Hill Road in Cherry Valley. The Cherry Valley people wanted to put on a poetry reading with Ed Sanders and some of the old poets that used to stay up at Allen Ginsberg's farm.
People from the Fugs,
right. And there's Allen Ginsberg.
Allen Ginsberg and Ray were the best of friends.
Right.
He lived just down the street. Ray lived just down the street up in Cherry Valley from Allen's place, up on the hill.
Yes.
I visited there one time, I told you. We visited with Ray. There's Ray and Allen together. This would be up in Cherry Valley, or I don't know where it would be.
Actually, that kind of, I believe that that looks like a photo taken from when Ray read poetry at Brooklyn University or Brooklyn College.
That's a very fancy coat he's wearing.
Back in '86, I think.
That's a fancy coat he's wearing, yeah. And there he is as a young man, right?
Yeah, I think that's on the cover of Angel and Poems of Madness, one of Ray's earlier books from 59 or 60.
We're looking at these films now, these pictures now. These are off Google and so forth, obviously.
Yeah.
And there's Mikhail Horowitz.
Horowitz.
That's Mikhail Horowitz, who is known to a lot of people now, and he's a fantastic performer. Was the best friends with Ray, and went and did a eulogy for Ray.
He's got the archives on everybody.
Who, Mikhail?
Mikhail,
yeah. Mikhail's fantastic. But that was really...
Yeah, and actually, if it wasn't for Mikhail...
Yeah.
Ray Bremson would have never made it into the Encyclopedia of Poets.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's like no one wanted to touch Ray for some reason. If Mikhail did not take the time to write out his history, he would have never got into like the Britannica of poets.
Yeah, Mikhail is an angel. He's a certified angel. A beautiful guy, and he's so knowledgeable, and he's so clever with words. He's such a wordsmith and a performer. He's really fantastic. He's got you know, that you could do a search on him and you would come up with one of the best performing artists there is in the world today, I think, you know. And they were best of friends. I know they got along well. He was very shaken when Ray went, because Ray was a friend of a lot of people in that art scene, including myself. Ray used to stay at my house when I would go to Washington.
Yeah, I used to stay at Ray's house. I
You mean up in Utica?
Up in Utica, yes.
Well, you were with him when he passed, actually.
Yes, he passed in November 3rd, 1998, at the age of 63. He lived a hard life of booze, drugs, and cigarettes, and
hard living.
Hard living, and
had to do some time. Had to write the blues for Bonnie in prison. Yeah.
And no, it's, you know what? It also has something to do with not selling out to the Rockefeller Fund and all these grants for writing books and stuff. He just was anti-establishment and
to the core.
To the core, yes.
It was part of the beat thing, you know. Yeah,
and I admire him for it, because the rest of them basically sold out. As far as and those are the stories he told me. He told me a lot of stories. He also gave me a lot of knowledge on life itself. You know, it's like he basically told me, don't believe anything from the age of 3 to the age of 18, because all that's a lie. You have to experience life to know the truth. You know?
Yeah, and he had a wicked sense of humor.
Oh,
he was really funny, and he would play with people really and everything like that. And he and Andy used to go out regularly to Naropa and that kind of stuff. I know that.
Andy Clausen?
Yeah, Andy Clausen. Yeah, they'd come back from Naropa with the kids, Andy's kids and stuff and everything like that. And they would come and base themselves in New Paltz. There were a lot of people there. And I really thank you for having been with him there at the end. He was up in Utica. That was beyond my ken. I was down in New York by then and so forth. But the spirit of Ray, I really remember very well. I remember once, if I may reminisce a little bit about Ray, is that I had a period in life, as you do, where you go through a depressive thing, and something happens and all that sort of thing. And so I went and visited with Ray. Up in, I went, because he had been staying and all that, and I drove up with the kids, and we went up, and he was on the road. You know the road, I guess, but there was a dirt road, and he was in the house. He and Bonnie were in the house. And then up the hill, there was a house where Allen Ginsberg and Orlovsky.
Yeah, that was the Committee on Poetry.
You know that, right? Oh, that's what that is? And they had a little pool in the back, a little pond in the back.
Yeah, that was on Kaniskern.
And there was a young little girl who was my daughter's age. They were just young, 8 or 9 or 10
no,
or
it was
something.
Georgia.
Georgia.
Georgia is Ray Bremser and Bonnie Bremser's daughter.
Oh, that's who that was.
Yes,
I got mixed up in that. But I know we were in the house, and Bonnie and he was I was bummed out sort of, and that kind, and he was very accepting, and it was very, very good, and everything, you know, and that sort of thing. And then we had dinner or something, and they had in the house walking around a goat. It was like a pet, and the goat would come up, and you're eating, and the goat head was at the table, and the goat was like part of the thing. They just did it like that. It was just really good, you know.
Goat's head soup.
Yeah, right. It was really good. He was a grand and important poet, really important beat poet, very good friend of Allen Ginsberg's and that whole beat movement. The beat movement was precursor to the whole hippie thing that was coming. It goes back to, I don't know what the roots of beat are, but they're very important, I think, in terms of authentic artistic expression, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it seems like all of them passed in
yeah,
the twinkling of an eye. I mean, Burroughs went, then Ginsberg, Corso, Jack Micheline, and then Bremser. You know, and then it just seemed like Deadsville. And, now all we have is punk poets.
Well, punk poets, and you got Patti Smith that's putting out some pretty good stuff. She's great, and it's in that tradition. And the authentic stuff that isn't sold out or got co-opted and so forth is...
like Rebecca Moore, I think her name is.
Well, they're still there. And before the Beats, I guess we had the Bohemians. You ever seen do you see the movie recently with Moulin Rouge, a tribute to the...
No.
Oh, it's really great. It's a thing with a tribute to the spirit of the artistic, non-sellout kind of thing and everything. And there were Bohemian artists and so forth who were beyond the pale of the normal political thinking and the normal thinking. And God bless the poetic community. Somebody once said the poets are the antenna of the race, that they pick up on things early before the society does, and are precursors or understanding in a virtual kind of way the realities that are emerging before the society at large knows. Do you think there's anything maybe to that or not?
Oh,
the role of the artist, because they're usually given pretty short shrift in terms of the values of the society of a materialistically
Well, I believe
oriented society.
I believe true artistic people just create for themselves. They don't create for an audience.
Right, right.
And if you just do it for that reason, you can't really get involved with the commercial success.
Yeah.
Once you sell out to commercial success, then you are selling out to the audience, and you're chasing that dollar bill.
Mozart died in a pauper. Was buried in a pauper's grave, I believe.
Yes.
Vincent could never sell anything. They had one painting of Vincent. He's down there. They had one painting of him. They used to block a window in a chicken coop, so the chickens couldn't get out of the coop, because what is this piece of nonsense that somebody's doing that's not figurative? You know, that sort of thing. I think Cubism probably was a precursor to a lot of what was going on in physics, that kind of thing. And
well, Cubism was, it can be traced back to African art.
Oh, really?
That the English were bringing back from Africa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. But Picasso was a fraud because he basically copied everything of the sculptures that were coming back.
Well, there is a lot of borrowing, to use
Oh,
the
yes,
term
of
that's
course.
less...
Yes, we all borrow and steal in some sort of way. And,
I think so, yeah, we do. There's a lot of that going on. A lot of people are worried about copyright things when it gets to have value. But Vincent's paintings had no value until they could fetch $35 million at Sotheby's. Then it's recognized. And that kind of thing just makes your skin crawl if you're a real artist or
I have yet to reach that scale as an artist. I hope to before I pass. But,
well, you could. You do great work and that sort of thing, if I may say so. And I really thank you very much for having been with Ray in those last years, because he got a little tough there and everything.
Yeah, Ray wanted to die at home. He told me he was sick and
had cancer, didn't he?
He had 3 types of cancers. Actually, I only knew that he had the one cancer, which was lung cancer, but he told me that he had cancer and that he was had 6 months to live or something, but he wanted to die at home, and he wanted me to caretake for him. So I lived with him for about 4 months.
God bless you. How was he doing? How was his...
Oh, no, he was all right. And then, actually, Old Milwaukee beer killed him.
Old Milwaukee beer?
Yeah, because he was just drinking...
He liked beer,
Yeah, he was just drinking like a 40-ouncer a day. That's it. And he smoked like maybe 3-4 cigarettes a day.
That's reasonable.
And he couldn't smoke weed anymore because he would cough like crazy. And then
it wasn't emphysema.
No. And then an old friend stopped by and that he hadn't seen in years, and this friend brought over a case of beer. And that case of beer knocked him out where he never got up from bed again. I mean,
really?
Yeah. Actually, the friend didn't know that Ray was sick at the time.
Right. And he was probably exhibiting great spirit.
Yeah, he was just
he
just assumed Ray was
yeah, he had a great
Ray.
strength of spirit.
No, and he still had the great intelligence, the words, and the sense of humor.
Wordsmith,
you know?
And he's still writing. He's still writing in that.
No, he stopped writing. It's like I really think his poem "Born Again" was his last writing, because he didn't. I feel that he grew bored with
the whole schmear.
Yeah, the whole.
Did he get that way at the? I just loved the man. I loved him. You know, he would play with me and take advantage of my naivete and that kind of thing. But we had a great relationship. I liked him.
Yeah, he stopped writing, but he still listened to music.
You told me he went out to Coltrane.
He still likes Cecil Taylor and Coltrane. Yeah, when he passed, he wanted to listen to Body and Soul by Coltrane.
You were playing that over and over
and I played that over and over at the hospital.
That was in the hospital, right?
At the hospital.
You had to go in the hospital right at the end for very long?
Yeah, he started bleeding from the nose, and it wouldn't stop, and I said, Ray, I think it's time to go to the hospital. So we called 911, and I escorted him to the hospital, and I said, I'll see you in a couple hours or something, you know. And anyways.
Had Coltrane going.
Yeah, and then, I came to the hospital with the recorder and the radio, and a week later he was gone.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for being there with Ray
Yeah.
at the end of that, because he was a great, good spirit, and God bless him and everything like that. And yourself. I'm really glad we got to get to know each other better.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of good friends, and we've got friends like that in your background. You've got to be good. There's a saying, Westinghouse. If it's Westinghouse, it's got to be good. If you're connected to Bremser, you've got to be good. That's all.
Well, if it has anything to do with the West, I don't want it.
Oh, okay.
Because
okay.
The East has the soul of the city.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
You
the
think
E-
so? You think the East has the soul?
I think
of
the
the
East
city?
side has the soul of the city. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
But
there's
Ray always told me that the East side always had the hipsters. The West
well,
side,
you're talking now Lower
yeah,
East Side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now the Upper East Side has
Yeah,
the
right,
soul of
right,
the
right,
bankers,
yeah, yes,
and then the
bankers,
West
yeah,
Side has
yeah,
the soul of
yeah,
the, you know, so it
yeah.
gets all mixed up. And somebody once said, was it Pond? I'm not sure, or was it Joyce? Maybe the West shall shake the East awake while you have the night for the morn. And I think it's M-O-R-N, but I'm not sure M-O-U-R-N. But it's a thing of the technology, and the West is shaking the East. We're shaking
Right,
the
right,
East
right,
now.
definitely,
The,
definitely.
the
Yes,
Vedic
yes,
traditions
yes,
and all those.
yeah.
So that's a big theme in terms of evolution of consciousness and all that.
Yes.
Anyway, a tribute in a
Yeah.
sense to Ray Bremser and that kind of thing, and his spirit is something to be celebrated in the highest order and that sort of thing. But you are also a spirit who's still with us in the material plane, and you're putting out good work. And we ran into you the other day, and you were involved at a recent thing at the St. Mark's Church. You've been involved with Frank Morales and
Yes,
the people down
yeah.
at St. Mark's Church on 2nd Avenue and 10th Street. And they put on an art show recently. Maybe you could address some of your work, artistic work. You did a lot of line drawing. You've done a lot of different things. And we have a little clip, a little rough clip that we put together, about 10 minutes, from that show. We want to show in just a little time. But maybe talk a little bit about your own artwork. We've been talking all this Ray Bremser and the beatnik, and you know, that was the beginning of the hippie thing and all that. But talk about your own artwork then, beyond when Pratt said that you had you were too disciplined, but you
was
kept doing it. You
learned,
kept putting it out. Yeah.
Yes, I was too learned of a student to.
Yeah.
But I think if I went back, if they heard this broadcast, they'd probably take me in. I don't know. But
Well, yeah, maybe you don't want to be.
No, I don't want to be, because as people can see, I'm very versatile with my creativity. So I really don't think I need too much education. And plus, if I need to know something, I basically read a book or look it up on the computer, and basically, you know.
And isn't it grand that you got the computer? It's like an autodidactic dream. You can look up anything and so forth, and it's only getting richer and richer and richer. So all of these institutions which are trying to teach you essentially to do what you're told by somebody else is not really in the spirit of the poetic spirit, is it? You know.
Well, you can tell with all the advertisement that they're doing. They're advertising education like crazy, but I believe they're advertising it because the attendance is low.
Well, it may get lower.
And lower, yes.
Tim Leary one time said, tune in, turn on, and drop out.
And drop out.
From the norms of the society.
Well, we do tend to repeat ourselves. Cycles continuously repeat themselves.
Yeah. Tiger, tiger, burning bright.
Yes.
But so you've taken, you're in art. Do you write much? You do a lot of drawing. We're going to show you line drawings and your painting.
I have been told I'm a great poet, but
really.
But
have you published anything?
No. I do broadsides, but poetry to me is more difficult than drawing or painting, because I basically have to. I write a poem and then I dissect it and do another draft.
Oh dear.
And dissect that and do another draft.
Really?
Basically, to write a poem, I basically writing 3 or 4 poems and dissecting each one until I get a.
And what happens to it? What do you keep them all?
It gets.
If you're on a computer, you can just keep it.
It gets elongated or shortened.
Well, it's going to do one or the other, isn't
and
it?
Basically, it's elongated because Ray did long poems, did manuscripts.
Right,
you know?
right.
And I basically am the same way.
One of the best books that Buckminster Fuller, who was in that spirit, ever did was called an epic poem on Western industrialization. It was a long epic poem, and it would go with big looping conclusions and like this, but it always closed, but it became a book. It was a poem, essentially a poem about industrialization. But I mean,
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a poetry broadside, or at least a book with my illustrations and poetry, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but the poems, do you have them organized and so forth, or do you write them
I
on
don't have any
envelopes
with me. It's like I live a very reclusive or spirited life where I move on, and if I do write something, it's like I leave it behind.
I know the feeling. I just went.
And some cat will find it in a garret 20 years from now and say, who the hell's this?
With hope, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I know, I'm the same way, that kind of thing. You write a thing in an envelope, and where the hell's the envelope?
No, and I've even done that with my artwork. It's like I do something, and it's like the wind tells me to move on, and I go leaving manuscripts and drawing pads behind, and then I get to my new destination. I go, where the hell?
Where are they?
Shit, man, it's 200 miles behind you.
And can you go back and gather those? I made the assumption, I got a lot of stuff stuffed in boxes because I'm not very organized. Some people are, and I made a resolution after this new year. I've been really holed up in it because I pulled out all those boxes. I was going to try and get it organized, and it's very daunting. I went right from the idea, this is how sick, I went right from the idea, let's get organized, to how nice it will be when we're organized. And I forgot all about that in between where you have to sort all this stuff out. It's a kind of detailed kind of mindset that is something you almost have to drag yourself screaming to do, but it's good once you've done it. It's like a discipline or something,
Yeah.
So can you gather some of those old things you've done, those books and stuff?
I doubt it because I'll even tell you another story. It's like after Bremser passed, I gathered my things and I went to Europe for 2 years.
You did,
and I did what I do best, which is draw historical landmarks and make and I sell my reproductions. And stuff. And I left a lot of work back there. I mean, I left at least 60 pieces back there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You left them where? On park benches or in archives
No,
or in an attic or a garret somewhere? Or keeping or?
No, I had some bad luck happening to me.
That happens,
my portfolio was at this place called Tuchelis, which is in East Berlin in Oranienburger It's a Kunsthaus where I've heard from people that are from Berlin. They tell me that it's still there. It's in
the portfolio.
Yeah, some of the drawings. And they say some of my pieces have turned up as billboards.
Oh, I'll be damned. Okay, see.
So that's pretty cool,
Okay, yeah, that is cool. You do that, and then
and I just wish the American audience would treat me the same way.
Well, they're just
hopefully after this broadcast, maybe I get some notoriety.
Well, maybe I wouldn't bank on it, but yes, it would be.
Oh, you're a nationwide celebrity, aren't you?
Oh well, no, not really. But we're just putting it out. But public access is really important because it lets a chance for that to be done, for these things to be shown, other than those commercial shtick things that clog up the airways, if you ask me. But anyway, the real stuff's going to be coming out of Access and sister institutions like it, where the real people and the real artists are able to be artists rather than some clone of the established business model or something. But anyway, so you're there. Now, we got to move along. One of the problems is we don't have enough time. We could talk to you for 28 hours. But we had this thing down at St. Mark's. You become associated with Frank Morales and the people of St. Mark's Church, and you've been doing some drawings there. And you made me aware of the fact they had an art show. And maybe we could talk a little of that. And then we got a 10-minute clip that'll show some of your work. But talk a little bit about that show. Could you just for a minute, and then we'll set it up.
Actually, I'll set it up this way. 2 weeks before the show, I had another show where I was exhibiting some of my work in these drawings of St. Mark's Church that I've been working on.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
I did these drawings partly because of what St. Mark's Church means to New York City and the East Village. I mean, it's one of America's icons. It's a revolutionary church. There's a lot
you're an endangered revolutionary.
Definitely.
Endangered. You think revolutionary spirit is endangered?
Oh, because America's trying to suppress revolutionary thought and ideas,
They usually do.
They don't allow us to express ourselves.
I think they've been doing that since Cro-Magnon caves.
Yes, they have.
But anyway,
that's definitely underground.
Yeah.
But anyways, I did these illustrations, and I did the show to benefit the restoration of St. Mark's Church. Because the church is in need of many repairs. I mean, we're talking mega bucks here, and to praise Tom Wolf's on historical preservation of historical buildings, I really think New York City should do something, other than sit on their laurels and just let the community take full action.
Yeah, the Lower East Side is great. There's so much talent and everything. Tompkins Square, the whole thing. It's really the heart and soul.
But anyways, I sell my reproductions of St. Mark's Church, and recently I'm selling them along 2nd Avenue and East 10th Street.
Oh, that's the place.
For the restoration of St. Mark's Church, and a portion of those proceeds go towards that project.
All right.
And I sell postcards and reproductions, and I also sell this new one.
There's one they can come in on. This is one of your
artworks.
artworks.
Come in on this one.
Maybe they got that set up on the camera, so they come in on, and I'll try and move so you can see it. There you go.
Yeah, this picture I designed for New Year's. I wanted to
New Year's.
I wanted to promote the East Village because I feel that there's a new thought, a new revolution going on.
Yeah.
And I really want people to come to the East Side because this is where the heart is. This is where the soul of St. Mark's is.
You got to keep it in mind. You're talking about East Side downtown, not East Side uptown, because it reverses.
I know. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
you understand.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, well, that's
the village.
good.
The village.
The village downtown, right?
Downtown
below
village,
14th.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where there's a lot of stuff. Tompkins Square and all that. A lot of good stuff going on there. But so they put on this show, and you told me about it, and I came there, and I did a few. I got a thing to go through. We'll show this piece. It shows some of your work.
Okay.
We'll show. We can talk over it.
Yeah.
It's really rough, but it was down at the St. Mark's Church.
Yeah, it was in the sanctuary. It was upstairs. It's a balcony area. It looks down at the altar.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my.
That's some of your work there.
That's based on the Kabbalah. I got Kabbalistic formulas in there, and then I made a tree of life. I got some branches from outside, and I like to take my abstracts and make mobiles out of them. So that's what those are hanging there.
Yeah.
And let's see, more on that.
The footage is rough because I was just fooling around.
Yeah, so that's, I forgot the name of that title.
Oh, let me talk.
Oh yeah, that's the photographer. He took some great shots of the show.
He was setting up some music and stuff, and there was about 300 or 400 people there. It was just a great vibe, really good people.
Yes, it was 200 people contiguously for 3 hours.
Yeah.
It was a great party.
Yeah, it was. It really was a show. And I think I show you a thing here, Lotus. Is this yours,
yes,
right?
Yes. This is a 4,446 petaled lotus.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I was crazy enough to count the petals.
Wow. You did it with a ruler or something?
Yes, I did that with only a ruler and watercolor. It's done in watercolor. How do you like that orange border there?
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, you did that. Well, that's okay. And this was along the arcade there, and you had these people. And then I think what I show here coming up are a lot of your line drawings from the Tarot. You apparently were involved in the Tarot.
Yeah, I put those Tarots up basically for that Tree of Life sculpture that I did. I did the Tarot back in 1992 when I was living in Florida. I did a series of drawings based on the Tarot and also a regular deck of playing cards. And those Tarot cards I made into 10 decks. And I sold them in Naropa in '94. I went to, Ginsberg was having a Rebel Angels conference celebration. It was actually to raise money for his library. And I made the 10 decks and sold them down there for like $100 a piece. But
and you just created those right
Oh
out
yeah,
of your
okay,
mind?
yes.
Yeah.
No, basically I researched...
The images.
I used to read the Tarot cards, but I wanted to design my own deck for the initiate or beginner. I made each card to resemble what the card means. You know, like there's a 3 of Wands, which basically means a gift from above. 4 of Wands is bringing something into matter. Something in the capital. 5.
Well, they're not really arranged because I was being
I
jostled
no, it's
around
cool.
and stuff.
It's cool.
And
though.
the lighting isn't very good.
Yes, there was no lighting against that. That was a last-minute attempt at manipulating space that I put those up there.
And then we do talk to you because they use the design of yours as the
Well, you know,
thing for the invitation.
I did these, some of those cards have images of New York City.
Uh-huh.
Some people have asked me, why don't you do a deck on New York City? I go, that's an idea, you know, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just take the image and put New York City architecture in the background. I don't know.
Uh-huh. And you just create those things out of whole space. You take a blank canvas and you create.
Yes, yes.
That's really.
I would meditate on what I know about the card and numerology. I take all those aspects, and then my muses help me.
Is that the swords? Is that the
Nine of Swords is Nine of Swords is a sick card.
Uh-huh.
It basically means misery.
Oh, I see. Okay, right.
Oh,
Now
listen.
let's hear this. I think maybe they can hear this.
Paul wanted to use this. Talk loud. Paul wanted to use this as a design for the invitation card to the show. It's a design I did back in 1992. It's the world.
I was really into my cups then.
Okay. Which I also designed back in 1992.
Okay, let's let them take a look at it. Is that it up there then? Is that
That's
it?
it.
That's the word.
And what do you call that? What do you call this?
I call that the world.
The world. You did it when, Al?
1992.
And that's what's on the invitation.
Yes.
On the,
Oh no, not the photo.
Yeah, but it's used. It's been used for a design for the invitation for this show called "The Power of the Imagination."
That's really beautiful. Congratulations on that and the other work. I got a lot of your stuff from the Tarot. You got all the cards from the Tarot. You're interested in the Tarot? I mean, they're beautiful.
No, I used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be a reader. I used to be into ruins and everything until I started to make my own. And then I didn't have to use these tools of divination anymore. I can basically just read somebody and just tell them.
Oh, I see. You don't need
Tell
the
'em what?
cards as
Right,
clues.
right.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're still into it.
Yeah.
Only at an advanced level.
Right.
You do beautiful work.
Yeah, after I designed them, I didn't need them anymore.
This is quite a show. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Did you expect this many?
No.
That looks like Andy
Paul
Clausen.
told me I'd be
20 years
paid
ago,
out
doesn't
of
it?
Paul's show.
Oh, did you want to put it together?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
who?
I don't know his last
Oh,
name.
all right. Everybody knows everybody's first name. That's good. That's
No,
good.
but he came to my show and he wanted me to put contact paper all over the place to bring everything out.
Yeah.
So in a way,
I'm gonna have it over
in a
here.
way, I am the curator.
In the way you
Right.
are. So how many
And he
people
took credit
have
for
showed here? How many people are there in your show?
Oh, about 300.
That's pretty good, huh? Yeah, it's good. And you got all this Tarot stuff, and then the drawings about the church, that's separate, right? You don't have any of those up here now.
I want to set them up right now on these steps.
Really?
Yeah.
Going to?
I'm going to do that right now.
Okay, well, you go do it. I'll watch you. These are the drawings of the church you've been working on now, right?
Yes.
Could you talk here about it a little bit? We'll start down on that one, and can you talk to it?
Aspiration.
Boy, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Aspiration was donated to the church in 1920 by I forgot his first name, but his last name is Gordon, the brother of the artist that did Mount Rushmore.
No fooling, really?
Yeah, and he was in cahoots. He did not like what his brother did, which was put 4 presidents in the heartland of the Sioux in the Black Hills of Dakota.
Yeah.
So I started doing Native American art and donated Aspiration and Inspiration, which are 2 sculptures of Native American Indians, to the church in 1921.
To this church, St. Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, how about this one? We got to try and get this in quick.
Well, that's the bell that was in the bell tower, the belfry in the 1970s, but after the fire, they had to take it out.
Yeah.
And it's they put it at the grave site of Daniel Tompkins, who was the Vice President of the United States. He also funded the War of 1812, and he died a broke man because the government never paid him for all the money that he invested in the war.
I'll be darned. That's the story. Okay, let's try and get around to this one. What are we looking
I
at
wonder if
here?
we're going to repay Cheney for all the money he's invested in the Iraq War, right? I don't think we'll have to.
The bust of Peter Stuyvesant. And also the East Graveyard. And I wanted to make it look like spring or summer, and I put some bunchings in there.
I see. Okay.
Now let's look at the graveyard with a murder of
I would like to talk over this. But when I did this picture,
a lot of people like this one. I sell this as it's a hot item for postcards with me. People buy this like left and right with me.
You make postcards,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there's the church. The whole church.
Yeah, this was the initial drawing that I did of St. Mark's Church. I started it midway. The only thing wrong with this picture is the steeple is too small. It's too short.
And you did that from your mind's eye?
I do that from my mind's eye. Actually, this is me sitting down at the bench drawing.
I see, right. I got you. You did that.
And that's my spirit sitting next to me.
And you put this down where you're sitting on that bench?
Right.
Oh,
I put
that's
that down.
That's an actual projection.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, let's look at this one quick. That's inspiration, the opposite of aspiration.
I see, right. Okay. And we can get these.
a lot of people are
Might as
going
well get the
about
whole thing that the lion is also a symbol of St. Mark's, which it is. If you look at any of Albert Duer's work of St. Mark's, he's always got a lion in there.
I see, right.
And I'm tempted to put, St. Mark's is an Episcopal church. I'm tempted to put the Episcopal coat of arms on the shield that the lion is.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. That was just some. It was roughly done, and everybody showed some of it and that kind of stuff. And you have some work here. We got about 10 minutes left, so let's see if we can't let people see some. I think they may have one of the cameras over on the work over there. You can see it on the monitor now.
Well, that's one of the postcards.
Look at the monitor. You can see what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you can see what is that? That's a.
Well, those are my geometric abstracts of the Kabbalah, and when I did these pieces. A couple books on the Kabbalah came in my path.
Yeah, Kabbalah is really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what I did was I took some of the formulas down and I made a piece out of it. And the little one is...
I don't know if they can come in tight on the little one at the floor.
The tiny one is
there they go.
What the piece looked like before I cut it up in pieces. After I cut it up in pieces...
And you turned it into a mobile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I cut it up in pieces and I made these abstract forms out of it. But once I did that, it really seemed like I was able to manipulate matter.
All right.
Matter seemed like split up and all these crazy things started to happen. A lot of synchronicity and...
synchronicity is an important thing, yeah.
The number 9 started following me around like crazy.
Really?
9 showed up. And I really... got what John Lennon was singing in one of those songs, you know, number 9.
Number 9, I remember that song,
yes.
yeah, right, yeah.
And Alice Cooper's Public Animal, number 9, you know. Everybody, I guess, who succeeds experiences the number 9 is the number of fulfillment.
I'll look forward for 9.
Yes.
And 9 will come over the door any day now then,
yes,
right? So look forward for 9, everyone. Okay, that's interesting. That really did. Now, you've done a lot of, we showed some of those line drawing, bad lighting and all that sort of thing. We got a few other things here that we can try and show. We got about 5-10 minutes left, so
actually,
what have we got?
I want to push these. I want to push these military pictures because I...
Let me hold it, and it's like so, right?
Yeah.
Let them come in on this if they can, and then you talk to it, okay?
This picture I did for veterans of September 11th who are suffering from health problems.
There's a whole lot of that 9/11 truth stuff going on at St.
Oh, yeah,
Mark's.
no, I'm involved with the 9/11 truth people, but it's like...
this is for the vets, right?
These are for the vets and the service people that serve our country who fight for our freedom, you know. But actually, if they knew the truth about September 11th, they wouldn't
might
be
put down their arms.
They might put down their arms and
Yeah.
start protecting the civilians against Big Brother.
Somebody said
Right.
the people at some
But
point...
anyways, I pass this out to firemen and policemen and veterans,
Yeah.
and I tell them thanks for
Is
serving
this
our
pen
country.
and ink? What do you do this in? Is it...
No, this was done in pencil.
Pencil, okay.
And the Staten Island Advance wanted to do a piece on this, right?
Uh-huh.
And I dropped it off at the paper there
Uh-huh.
in Staten Island, and
Yeah.
it turned up missing the original.
I'll be
They
damned.
kept the original.
I'll be damned.
So this is why I
And
don't...
you can't get it back?
I do not trust the media whatsoever,
Okay,
especially
okay.
in Staten Island.
Well, you can trust...
I call it Staten Island Stigma Island.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
They
Let's move
discriminate.
this along, 'cause we
They-
don't want to...
They discriminate like
That's
crazy.
the one we showed. Okay.
Yeah, this one
Okay, let's see.
This one I did a couple of years ago for some Vietnam veterans of mine who, some of them are bikers,
Mhm.
but I did this for them, and I got this crazy idea in my head that if I sent it to Washington, D.C. to President Bush, maybe present it to these veterans and use it as some public relations to support the war or support veterans for joining the American service, you know.
Mhm.
And to this day, my friends in upstate New York have yet to receive their picture. I mean, this is what I mean. I don't trust
The system.
the system at all. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, so anyways, they're stuck with a
Yeah,
copy.
you can
They're
come
stuck
back
with a
on it.
copy. They're stuck with a copy of this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good, though.
Yeah.
What, is that... This is the...
That's
oh,
kind of
yeah.
light. Yeah, that's
Yeah. Okay.
that's kind of old.
What else have we got we can show? You got something down here? This? Here,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Here's
This.
You got so many.
Yeah. Well, this
And
is
these,
this
is
is
this top? Is this the way
this
it
is
goes?
an alphabet.
Uh-huh.
This is an alphabet that I designed, which is also a. They're not going to it.
Yeah, they will. They'll
Okay.
get to it. They have
Well,
to
anyways,
focus.
this is an alphabet that I designed in Berlin, Germany, and
Uh-huh.
it's still
we go.
there.
They got it
This is
now.
one of the billboards that's in East Berlin.
Uh-huh.
Somebody has told me they saw this as a billboard.
Have you got the whole alphabet in there? I can't see it.
I have
'cause
the
I'm
whole
holding it up.
alphabet in there, but it's kind of,
And what have you got the
It's
Mr.
really
around it?
it's really complex. I'll
Yeah.
tell you how
Yeah, I can
complex it is. You see this key right here?
Uh-huh.
This key is in the foreground,
Uh-huh.
but the stem of the key is in the background of the jar, which is in the background.
Right, right,
Which
right.
makes the key cockeyed
Uh-huh.
for the letter C.
I see.
You see that?
Okay, yeah.
This is how
I can't...
this is how in depth this alphabet
I'm
is.
trying to see it from the back.
So
and I
yeah,
can't,
yeah. But anyways, there's an ashtray over here which is a part,
Uh-huh.
you know, and I use adverbs.
How in
and
the
all this
world
stuff.
did you put all this together? You do this.
I was
Where did you start?
I was stoned out of my gourd.
Where do you start?
Yeah.
Do you start up in this corner and
No,
start
no,
doing
I-
it? How do
I-
you do something like that?
I think I
for
did
crying
more.
out-
I think I did more erasing than I did actually drawing because
Really?
it was like
How long did it
constant-
take you to produce this? Would you roughly estimate?
Probably 160 hours.
Okay, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
you would draw. And did you do it originally at this size, or was it
No,
larger?
no, it was a lot larger.
A lot larger. and
Yeah,
you
it was
reduce-
more like 42 by 36.
It's good to work large, and you can reduce it. And you can
Yes,
get rid of
yes.
some errors.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Okay.
No, when you do detail large
Uh-huh.
and you shrink it down, it really becomes tight and it really
Yeah.
comes out more.
Right,
actually,
right,
yeah.
right. Well, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah,
Work
yeah,
large if you
yes,
can, then,
yeah.
right? Does it make a difference? And you do all the perspective and all that kind of stuff. It's a great talent. I don't
Yeah.
know how in the world you can do it. It's a great talent. Do we have anything else here that
Yeah,
we
I got
could
one
show?
more piece.
Okay, let's show them because
This is a piece I did on.
we've got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, this is a piece
Oh, yeah,
that
I'll hold it up.
I want to call 9/11 Truth.
Mm-hmm.
This is 9/11 Truth.
All right.
This picture depicts the my feeling of what the American government is doing to the American people.
Uh-huh.
It's basically the White House is a big toilet.
Uh-huh.
That's President Bush holding a cross,
Uh-huh.
pushing Christian beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, he's got the Star of David as a balloon, like there's a big party going on, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then we got the American terrorist over there with the American mask on his face, holding Hussein and Gaddafi.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, it's not Gaddafi. It's what's his face from Palestine that who they knocked off in Paris a couple years ago. This is a framed picture of Osama bin Laden. If you notice, in 2001,
sure we're on it or
during
not.
the Super
Put your
Bowl,
finger where you're going.
during the Super Bowl, the Patriot,
Move your
the
finger right into where you're talking about.
New England
I can't see-
Patriots came out of nowhere and won the Super Bowl in the
Oh.
last 3 seconds,
Oh, I see.
just for the propaganda of because the war was beginning in Afghanistan.
Did you have this all in mind when you sat down to do it? Or
No, I
did
gained
you
all
do
this.
as you're
I
doing?
gained all this information from the New York Times and what they were showing me on CNN. You know.
Oh yeah.
But
And you'd add to it if something came on CNN. You'd
yeah, and
add
a friend of mine helped me with the Islamic writing. This Islamic writing says, I, Osama bin Laden, swear unto Allah that I did not have anything to do with September 11th. That the true orchestrators were
in the White House.
Were in the White House, corporate terrorists.
Okay, that's interesting.
And written on the foreheads of President Bush here and Ken Lay, which is this is Enron. Ken Lay is a roll of toilet paper. I really think someone should manufacture toilet paper with the president's face on it so we can all wipe his, you know, do the dirty. But written on all their foreheads, it says American terrorists. Those are the American terrorists.
It is to a point now where things are. I mean, we just talked now. The president talked yesterday. They're going to do a surge and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
It just seems to a lot of people that it's just absurd.
It's
the theater of the absurd.
It
in
is.
a certain sense. It seems that way to you.
Yeah.
And it does. It seems to me like that. It's always been like that in a way, but it just seems to reach a crescendo with the current situation. It's just laughably absurd if it wasn't so tragic.
Well, from what he was saying, I really looked at that as a mirror image of what they're actually doing here. Taking away our civil liberties, taking away all, you know, it's like...
Forget about that habeas corpus
yes,
nonsense.
yes.
We got terrorists to get, and all that kind of stuff.
No, but the way
torture,
the way he was talking about the Iraqis and the military going into the villages, I actually foresee that happening in this country. And I really hope hope when the executive order goes down that these veterans, cops, and firemen do not they go in with their guns down, you know, and lead with their hearts instead of their guns.
Yeah, you know? Well, it may be that we're at a time of incredibly important significance. I used to talk to Ray about it a little bit because we got weapons that can destroy the species apparently now. So this playing games about our tribe is better than yours and so forth is going to have to give way to a new kind of realization. Maybe we're getting to a point where we can have enough for everybody, a transformation and sort of thing.
No,
we live at a really incredibly important time.
Yes, we do. And
the evolution of consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, and that's definitely going to reach that level in 2012.
You think 2012? That ties into the Mayan calendar or something?
Yes. I think we're going to switch poles and our consciousness will change. And actually, the Earth will be spinning in a different direction, and it will change the magnetic...
Wait a minute. The